All right, so we've had some heavy topics for the last couple of weeks. I'm going to try to keep it short and sweet today. I'm going to try. It's Holy Trinity Sunday. God is Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. All I want to do today is get it into your heads that understanding the Trinity is a matter of faith. Okay? You will never actually understand God's triune nature. It is not possible. You are better off assuming that at any time the wonder and majesty and glory of God is even greater than your wildest conception. Our attempts to wrap our minds around Him will always fall short. We've got a wall here in church. I call it the wall of heresy. Every church of every denomination has one at some point, as long as there are kids in religious education. The latest wall of heresy had a bunch of pictures on it. Apparently the kids had to draw pictures explaining God the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. So there was, of course, the classic, a three-leaf clover. There was a picture of a candy corn with three colors. There was a picture of an ice cube, liquid water, and vapor. There was even one somehow involving SpongeBob SquarePants. For the life of me, I couldn't figure out that argument. That kid gets points for creativity, though. I'll give him that. Now, I don't want to be too hard on our 7-year-olds. Technically, all of that is heresy. It's all modalism or partialism or whatever. God is way more complicated than a melting ice cube or a thing that can be divided into 3 chunks. And I don't worry about the wall of heresy because they're kids. And kids learn things in small steps. And that's what analogies do in the first place. They help us to understand something a little bit easier, even if they don't completely understand the nature of a given thing. And frankly, that is why St. Patrick used a 3-leaf clover in the first place. It was a useful teaching tool for people who were just beginning to understand God through Christ and the Holy Spirit. But for all of you here today who are not children, don't stay at that simple level of understanding. Have the faith to see that God is more, so much more than anything we can conceive of or grasp. He is one God, one substance, one ultimate reality. And He is 3 persons. Not one person with 3 bodies, not one person wearing 3 masks, not one person with 3 jobs, 3 people in one unity. To accept that is frankly a matter of faith. A leap of faith, you might say, and that is appropriate because Christianity is ultimately a religion of leaps in the first place. That's the argument. So if you're still not buying this, if you think it's a bit of a cop-out for me to say, well, you can't understand God, so don't even try, which isn't really what I'm saying anyway, here's the same argument, slightly different angle. This comes from Peter Kreeft, one of the finest Catholic writers of our era. I brought him up in homilies in the past. He explains it like this. There are more things in heaven and on earth, Horatio, than are dreamed of in your philosophy. We've all heard that before. Well, when you get down to it, there are exactly 3 philosophies. There are either more things, fewer things, or the exact same number of things in heaven and on earth that are dreamed of in our philosophy. In other words, an objective reality compared to our subjective consciousness. So if you answer the exact same number of things, if that's your answer, then you're saying that all that is real is rational, all that is rational is real. Everything that is real is known by you. Everything you know is real, and there is nothing real that you don't know. That's a pretty arrogant thing to say. Because you're basically saying that you are interpreting reality perfectly. No, you're not. For most of us, the question really does boil down to that. Is there more or less to reality? Are there more things or less things in heaven and on earth than are dreamt of in our philosophy? If your answer is there are less things, that is called reductionism. Reductionism says that some or all of our beliefs are exaggerated, naive, and idealistic, and the world is less than we think it is. Okay, they would say that it's like seeing a bunny rabbit in the clouds. Obviously, there is no bunny rabbit in the sky. We are projecting that image onto, the cloud. They would say it's like that, but for everything. Taken to extremes, reductionists would say that values are just personal opinions. Love is just a chemical process in your brain. Religion is wish-making, and science is just our desperate attempt to impose order on a chaotic and unpredictable universe. Now, it's not particularly likely that you're going to bump into someone that says all of those things, but I assure you they're out there. And they are not the life of the party. How could they be? I mean, if that is what you really think, what an empty world you're left with. And then there's that third possibility that there is more in heaven and on earth than is dreamt of in our philosophy. In that case, there is always mystery. In that case, we are being perpetually drawn to something that is more real, more significant than the matter at hand. Imagine it like this. Imagine the world a baby knows before they're born. Their world is the womb. That is their entire world. That world is real. It is very real. And yet at the same time, it is this teeny tiny part of this greater world around him that the baby has no chance of understanding until its time has arrived. That's another analogy, by the way, that is a teaching tool. Is there a deeper level to the world that we have yet to be born to? I, for one, believe that, and I hope you do too, because it really is the best of those three possibilities. But it does come with a price, and the price is this. If that is the truth, that there is more to heaven and earth than we give credit for, then that means that we will never have all the answers. To have all the answers would mean that we are bigger or more intelligent than the universe. And we're not. Please don't be offended by that. That's like saying that you're slower than the speed of light. Nothing to be ashamed of. The reality of God is Trinitarian, one God, three persons. And that is something that belongs to a greater reality than the one we know in our lives. We know it's true for two reasons. One, because he told us. That's called divine revelation. And two, it's because we have the power to sense that there is more to life than we ordinarily experience.